Hello everyone. I'm actually very glad to be here because there are many good friends, so I'm really excited to be presenting my projects here. So my main research interest concerns actually what I'm doing right now, concerns our ability to speak, for which ability I think that most of us use the word language, right? But actually, when we use the word language in order to describe what I'm doing right now, we miss to realize a very important thing, which is the following. We're not actually the only species on planet who are able to learn very complex vocal signal in order to communicate. So also these other species that I have listed here are very good vocal learners. So in a whole, this ability for language, this ability to vocalize is called vocal learning, and this is what I'm going to talk about. So in particular, I'm really interested in all the mechanisms that really make us very good, even when we're babies, to imitate sounds. And in particular, I'm very interested in all those reward mechanisms that we're getting in order to boost up our learning ability to vocalize, to speak, or in the case of the bird, to sing. So to make it even more clear for you, we're all aware that when a baby wants to acquire a language, so the parents of this baby are constantly rewarding when, even when the baby says their first syllables correctly. Their mother, father, or the rest of the family, they're always like, oh baby, say it again, this was perfect. So they're providing the whole time social feedback to say, yes, you did right. Actually, more or less the same is happening with birds. But actually, in order to pursue the question of, okay, is social feedback very important for us to learn a language? Someone should say, yes, it is, because this is what's happening. But actually, no one has meticulously tested to what extent we would be able to learn how to vocalize without this social input, namely only with hearing a language. So in order to address this question, someone should understand what's happening in our brains while we're getting this rewarding feeling, while we're having this pleasurable feeling that pushes us to learn and do something more and more. So actually, oxytocin, according to many studies, has been told to be involved in these reward mechanisms when we like to do something more and more. So oxytocin is famous because it's involved in hug and social bonding. It's also involved in breastfeeding and the attachment we're having with our mothers in the first years of life. And also, it is involved in this great feeling we get when we kiss someone and we want to kiss them more. For example, this is my first kissing experience with my sister when I was around 2 years old, I think. And also, oxytocin is extremely famous to be released to very great amounts in the brain during orgasm and sex. And actually, I've not put a personal picture here for obvious reasons. So the question is oxytocin also the reward mechanism that makes us want to be good at learning a language? So in order to test this, I'm actually using songbirds because they're very good models of language, as I said before. So what I thought was, what will happen if I take off oxytocin from a bird's brain? What will happen in their singing? So what's happening actually is that they want more. Okay. So that, sorry, it was, okay. So male birds, when they want to attract a female, when they want to copulate with her, the sex I was talking about before, they're actually performing their best, their most complex, their richest song. So I guess that when I take off oxytocin, something will go wrong, right? And actually this is what happened, because in the normal bird, in the first bird, as you can see here, it has produced too many introductory notes to call for the female. So it is as if here the bird was saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm singing now for you, right? So the song is really attractive. When I took off the oxytocin from the brain, we can see that the introductory notes really dropped. So the song was not so erotic, the song got really less complex. So the first answer, the first conclusion is, yes, oxytocin is involved in vocal learning. Okay.
5 minutes are over, you want more?
The best comes now, so, okay. After this slide, actually. Are you ready? So, in my future experiments in birds, I'm actually planning to test more or less the same thing on juvenile baby birds in order to see if, in principle, their ability to learn how to sing gets disturbed if I remove the oxytocin from their brain. And actually what I hypothesize is that when I remove the oxytocin from their brains, they will not be able to learn how to sing very well. But I also hope something else, that when I administer back oxytocin in their brains, that their ability to learn how to vocalize will get restored. And I think that this is a very crucial point here, because probably most of you will be thinking right now, okay, birds, why should we care, right? So I think that we should care, because actually many autistic patients of autism, also Down syndrome, have been shown to have really big problems in their oxytocin system. So probably what I hope for is that if I give back with oxytocin treatment, the songs, like a bird's song, probably I will be able to give back to a human patient of autism their ability to learn a language. Okay? So now the interesting point comes. So I'm Greek, and I was at some point at a Greek island, and I say, damn, I really want to study humans, and I really want to see what's happening in the oxytocinergic system in the human brain, not just birds. And I said, wait a second, what have I just said some minutes ago? That the function in which oxytocin gets released in very big amounts in the brain is actually when we're having orgasm. And then I asked myself, and I said, oh, wait a second, when we're having an orgasm, actually, more often than not, what's happening? We vocalize, right? We scream, you name it. So I reached out to some sexologists, yes, and I'm collaborating now with them, just collaborating with them. And, and so what we're testing right now is that we are having human subjects like you, we're having them seated under this very nice, fancy machine, and we're taking these very cool pictures of their brains while they're having an orgasm. And, and so what we have been finding is that actually oxytocin is not only responsible for this great, rewarding, pleasurable feeling that we experience when we're having an orgasm, but also the reason why we vocalize. Another argument why oxytocin has to do with language. And so let me end here with just a thought, a food for thought, which is the following. As I said before, birds sing in order to have sex with their females. So then birds have evolved their richest song in order to get a sexual reward. So probably back in evolutionary times, the first humans evolved their vocal abilities, again for sexual reward, during orgasm. So probably birds and us are not that different at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Constantina Theofanopoulou. So we started to use language during sex, maybe once upon a time.
So I think that actually, according to many scientists, something crucial for language to happen is rhythm, is for two people to get synchronized. So
I see your point.
I cannot think of a better synchronization and sensory motor synchronization different than sex. And so probably it is right there when we go to vocalize and we synchronize ourselves and also our eye contact in order then to communicate in other contexts.
All right, so if you have problems with your second language, try maybe an orgasm next time. Thank you very much, Constantina. We have to move on. Your applause.